Hello, welcome to Michael Redmond's Go TV. I'm Michael Redmond, professional naidan. In this video, I'm going to talk about the shape we can see here in the upper right corner, where white has played an attachment and a double hane in the corner. This starts with the black start point, and white has played an approach move and played the attachment and the double hane. And I'm going to talk about this from the viewpoint of black to keep it relatively simple. Professional players also were perfectly happy to play this slide. And so for white, I'm not going to insist that white actually has to play this. In fact, there's a lot of variations that start at this point. And white actually has to know a lot to be able to continue the Joseki, when black has various options. So for instance, black can play the wedge, which is going to be the move that I suggest in this video, or black can play straight down, black can play a double hane, and black can play a hanging connection, or black can just connect. So black has all of these choices. In order to play this double hane and feel safe about it, I think white has to know all of these variations. So I'm actually, as a basic Joseki, I'm not going to suggest this move for white. But it's become very popular because AIs now suggest that white should play this move. So you'll see a lot of it in top professional games, and a lot of people will be playing that. So when your opponent plays this, I'm going to show you one way to answer this, which is going to work in just about any board position. And it's going to be relatively simple. First of all, I'll show a bad example. The one move that I would not advise for black is to cut here and to take the one stone. In this case, white gets to cut and capture a stone on the fourth line. So it's basically a trade of a stone on the second line for a stone on the fourth line, and the stone on the fourth line is more valuable. This is a ladder for the time being, but even if it was just a net, it would be bad for black, but for the time being it's a ladder, so white can capture in a ladder like this. So that's not good for black. So black should wedge here. White connects, and black simply connects too. This is where the Joseki branches into two branches. So white will probably connect here. I'd say if I was going to give a possibility, I'd say it's more likely that white is going to connect underneath, and black can extend down, and white will almost always push here, and that ends the Joseki. So for the local sequence, that's all you have to remember. In this Joseki, black has a nice 6-point shape there as a kind of a minimum line for the black territory. This 6-point shape is usually good enough to get 2 eyes. So it's a relatively good territory that black has there. It's a good shape, almost a living shape that black has. After this, black is going to be playing some kind of a pincer on the upper side probably, and I'll talk about that more when I look at a full board position. The other variation is when white trades into the corner. So if white cuts here, white can actually capture this black stone in the corner. In this case, the proverb says that black will extend to 2 stones. You sacrifice an extra stone to get some extra forcing moves. White can play here and capture the 2 black stones. And maybe the one difficult move in this Joseki is curling around here. This is a very important move, which is going to increase the forcing moves that black has. Black is going to lose the race to capture. White can play here and capture the 3 black stones, but then black will push through here. The important thing about this trade is that black has created a forcing move here, which black will not play yet. Black does not always want to play it, but in some cases, like if black plays something like this, when white wants to start a fight on the upper side and maybe covers here, this would have been forcing except for the fact that black has this forcing move here, and black can stop white's connection and then play something on the top. So this black can stop white's connection on the first line with a tempo, with sente, which is very important. So that's the value of playing curling around here once at 4. So this move. Because if black had simply pushed through here, then white would have captured the 2 stones like this, and then black would not have that forcing move. when white plays here. So it would be a one move difference in this fight that might happen on the upper side. So that's my reason for curling around here. I could also give a reason for not playing the Atari, the final Atari, because actually in some cases in the future black might be playing two stones from this side. So black wants to leave the option of playing an Atari from this side too, and there's no reason to hurry to play that Atari. It's going to be forcing almost any position. So black will leave it and probably play some kind of extension on the side. This is probably perfectly alright. It's probably good for black. So it's those two variations. Either white trades into the corner like this, or otherwise the more likely variation is that white connects underneath, and black now has a choice of how to invade the upper side, how to pincer on the upper side. So I'll talk about that in a full board position. Okay, here we have a full board position. White has played a star point and a 3-4 point on the lower side. Black has played 3-4 points on the upper side and then a corner enclosure. So this is actually a fairly common modern opening. And black continued with a kakari here, an approach move, and white answered. So you can see that in the example that I gave earlier, I started with a black stone on the star point. In this case, the colors are reversed. It's a white position on the lower side. Black plays the double hane, and this is where I'm going to suggest that white just has to wedge here and connect. And this is where black has two choices. If black plays here, let's just look at how this works in a full board position. White extends, and this curling around is the important move I was talking about. And then white can play a pincer here. And white is attacking both this stone at the same time as starting to surround the lower side here. So there's two possibilities for that. For instance, if black continues with something like this, or something like this maybe, then white can surround the stone in the lower left. So this area has potential of becoming a white territory. At the same time, white will be attacking black on the lower side. Otherwise, if black pokes his head out here, then white can jump here. And now white will be surrounding this area. So one of these two areas looks like it's probably going to become a white territory. And you can see in this fight here, for instance, in this case, it's very important that this move is not going to be forcing them. When black plays this move, white can play the Atari here and have sente. So having that Atari on the first line, being able to cut black off with the tempo is very important. So it's probably more likely that black will connect underneath and white plays down. So like I was saying, it's a good shape for white. The territory here is a good shape. White has 6 points, more or less living shape. Now white has a choice of how to move into the lower side. It really depends on how confident white feels in the local fight. In this position where black has a stone towards the lower left corner, maybe white wants to take a point that is intermediate between the two groups. So in this case, I think white should play here. And this is threatening to surround black stone in the lower left at the same time as looking at the peep here. This peep is always a move that white is looking forward to play at some point. In order to play it safely, white really needs a stone on the third line, waiting to support that peep. So if black answers on this side, white can peep now. And something like this. In this variation, white does have a living shape here. White has a base, and the two black groups actually do not have a base. So this group, it's not clear that this group is alive yet, and also this other black group also, this group on this side, it's not 100% alive either. So the fight looks good for white. White has a kind of a base on the lower side, a fairly strong position. Otherwise, if black plays from the other side, like this for instance, then white can surround this stone in the lower left corner. White's accomplished what white set out to do in this case also, with the pincer and the surrounding of the black stone. White has the defensive position. And you might note that I'm not playing the peep immediately. You might have seen some professional strong players play the peep here. This is actually a very dangerous move, so I don't really suggest that you should try this move. Unless you want to have an adventure. It's probably better to start with some stone on the third line supporting that peep. And then if black plays on that side, then you can feel relatively safe about peeping here. Because when black does press here, you have the potential to connect up on the side there. So it's relatively safe in this case to play the peep on the second line. So I showed you a variation where white was playing a fairly good distance from black's group in the lower right corner. Now I want to show a similar board position in which white has a stronger local position and white can place more strongly on the lower side. Alright, so this is a very similar board position, only I've added the exchange of black's extension there and white's corner enclosure in the lower left. So now let's see what happens if black plays the attachment in double hane. White can wedge again, and again this is a point where black has a choice of cutting in the corner, which would lead to something like this, and then some kind of an extension on the side. This would be perfectly okay for white. Or if black connects underneath, white will take the corner. And in this case, white has a relatively strong position in the lower left. So that's the difference from the previous board position, is that white has a strong position here. In this case, I think it's okay for white to go all the way. And so again, I would not really recommend peeping on the second line. Peeping on the second line is a dangerous move. In any case, there's some possibilities for black to actually capture that stone. So I don't really recommend this move. It's probably safer just to extend on the third line. And if black continues with something like this, white can continue the attack like this, or actually might be better for white to extend on the right side. And the point is that black does not have two eyes. Black's group here is not completely settled yet. And so when this white group starts moving out into the center, when white plays moves like the mark point here, then white will be putting pressure on that black group. So this is a good variation for white too. To finish the video, I'll just go back to the first diagram. So it's like this. In this diagram, I'm going to say that black is okay in just about any board position with this variation. So this is the variation I'm going to suggest. And this is where white has two choices. White can switch trade to the corner in this variation, in which case black will probably continue with some kind of extension on the upper side. The more common move, you might say, is for white to connect underneath, and then black takes the corner. After white pushes, now black has a choice of where to play on the upper side. It can actually be in any number of moves. It really depends on how much room black has, how much of a strong position black has on the upper side. For instance, in one of the examples, I showed a position with a strong corner enclosure in the upper left corner. This is an example of a position where black can play all the way, right up against white's group, and continue with something like this, with the next move being either here, or otherwise it can be here. It depends on the how you feel about the position. Otherwise, if there's a white position, let's put two white stones for instance, in this case black will be playing more towards the middle of the side, so it could be, for instance, it could be a point like this, and if white plays here, then black could play the peep and play here. Or if white plays here, it could be the extension. So this would be an example. It's either this move or maybe one to the right would be okay. In this case, something like this would follow. And you can see that black has the beginnings of a base here, while white actually does not have a living shape yet. White's group does not have two eyes yet. So this is again a fight that could be playable for black. It depends on the right side now. So just to go back a few moves. This is as far as the Joseki goes. This is where you finish the Joseki, but now black will be choosing a point to pincer or invade on the upper side, depending on how strong black has a position black has in the area. So that's it for this video about the tsuke nidan, the attachment in the nidan bane Joseki. And thank you for watching to the end. If you liked it, please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up if you liked it. So thank you for watching.